because I know this person likes this and it doesn't particularly derail me from the standards I've upheld. So it means that I might or should be able to shift ground, especially if it's something that makes them happy.
One of the predictors of marital success in the long term is that more people that turn towards instead of turning away have a higher chance of keeping connection.
Many people might not realize that for every big you turn down, you move a little apart until you find out that you are present in the same space, close proximity, but lonely.
If it is priority, you'll find a way. If it is not priority, you'll make an excuse. So I think certainly just realizing that, okay, is this thing a priority for us, and shaping our life around our priorities. So if friendship and play is a priority for us, then we need to shape our life around that priority.
Tell me the story of how we met your version.
So the story of how we met, where do I begin? How long do I have?
My version.
Hi there, welcome back to the Because Marriages Work podcast. And if you're new here, my name is Doinsola Olanio and I co-run this podcast with my husband.
Ifeolu Olanio.
And we talk about the beauty, the work, and the witness of godly marriages. And we're so glad to have you joining us today.
So glad to be here. So glad to be doing this with you.
I feel like for me, the podcast just feels like an overflow of some of the conversations that we have naturally and easily at home. And it's beautiful to see that people gain insights, the feedback that we've received. It's one of the things that just spurs us on to keep going, because ordinarily we're not really front camera facing people. But so today we are speaking on friendship and emotional connection. Friendship, emotional connection, even emotional safety, really. If you followed any of our content since the start of the year, what we've tried to do is to anchor our content on like themes for the month. In January, the theme was alignment, and we explored all things alignment. And this is a good time for you to catch up on that video if you haven't. And this month, we're focusing on friendship, emotional connection, and emotional safety. And I think for me, it is so important, because what we're trying to do is just to pile on, found it block by block, brick by brick, in terms of the things that we consider to be foundational to a marriage that thrives and to a marriage that works. And I think for me, friendship and emotional connection is one of those things. If I'm to borrow the language of John Gottman, he says that it's the building block for a sound relationship house. And I think that that's one of the reasons why this is important to do, and this is why we're doing this episode as well.
I mean, it should typically go without saying, right, that when a relationship is on, it's because there's a level of friendship in there. You know what the Bible says, that greater love has no man than this, that he laid down his life for his friends. And I believe that was, a reference of Christ and what he was going to do for us. But the idea is, you can see what love would require in terms of the sacrifice there, but that's in terms of the connection of friends involved with what that sacrifice is relating to. And so I believe that the more we get to know another person, the more we're able to sacrifice. And that is based on several things. But most of it is based on how good our friendship becomes, how deep our friendship becomes. I feel like a lot of the time we might just consider that romance and attraction will generate, the affection that we have one for the other. But I'd argue that friendship sustains it. And without an appropriate level of friendship, the idea that I can say, I like this person for real, I actually want to do life with this person, I actually love to do life with this person. Like, I love when we just sit and maybe do nothing. I'm not in a hurry to leave your presence. I'm not in a hurry to leave the environment where we jointly share, right? I'm not bored when I'm with you, which I believe is something that many people might need to check. The idea that I can be with you and my mind isn't wondering about what better thing I can be doing with my time. Right? And I feel like that really is what it is. The idea that I know you're my friend indeed. And that makes a relationship solid. Regardless of whatever else anybody wants to put in as, these are the things that make a marriage work. Right? I believe strongly, and I know that's something we've talked about again and again, that friendship actually creates a good foundation for how marriages work.
Absolutely. Certainly, for me, like, you make a really valid point. And I find that many people start out with the best intentions. Like, at least most couples that I know or I've met, they started out as friends. There was that connection, there was that initial spark, obviously, except in the cases of maybe like arranged marriage where you never saw yourselves until the wedding day or something. But for most people, they were well intentioned and they start out with friendship. But I feel like there's a way that the business of marriage comes in the way and dulls that connection. And I think that that's certainly something that I want us to speak to. Because yes, we can liken marriage to a partnership in many ways, and we can say yes, marriage is a partnership, but there's a way that the administrative tasks of marriage, that the admin of actually being married, of actually having a shared life, of actually having a shared vision, of actually doing things together, can actually get in the way of the friendship.
And you assume friendship is ongoing, but it's not.
Because what you're doing is actually, you're running a life together, you're running a business together, you're discussing admins, you're discussing the mortgage, we're navigating roles and responsibilities, we're discussing the mortgage, we're discussing the nanny, we're discussing the children. But when push comes to shove, you actually realize that we're never we're not talking about each other. You'll be shocked that people would have been married for several years, and if you tell them to spend a day together and not discuss admin, they will struggle with actually having things to say. I'm sure that you've heard the stories, and I've heard several accounts of people where at the point where they become empty nesters, they then realize that their marriage was actually just based on the children, and that they had built their marriage around the children, and they had lost the friendship, the connection, the bond, all those things. And I'm not saying that the admin is not important, because I feel like sometimes when we approach this kind of discussions, we can make it seem like it's either one or the other. But we're saying the admin is important, but do not let it blindside you to what is more important. Where what is more important is that actually that emotional connection. What is more, because you didn't get married to do life admin. Life admin came along the way as a must do. But then the key thing is that, okay, the things that bind us together, how do we keep going? How do we keep nurturing our friendship whilst we're getting the admin done, whilst we're doing. And I feel like for me, it boils down to certain things like having non-productive time. Like little rules where maybe like after beyond 9 p.m. or when we're in bed at night, we do not discuss any admin. Like having those kind of little strategies that make sure that even if it's just a 15-minute check-in points that you have at the end of the day, to just be together, to just exist, to actually see one another, to actually just go out of that management mode into like memory mode, into funness again, and just disconnect from the monotony or the routines of everyday living. And I feel like it's so important, because even as counselors, we've had situations where people come, you just ask them the question, what was your first date like? Or what were the things that made you drawn to the other person? And you see the spark come back, because they have forgotten all those things. Like fondness has left the door, and we've been administrators. Because really, when you're running a business together, the output that you value is like the economics values the outputs, like in doing a business partnership together. But what you realize is that you soon transit from that point of being human beings to actually being human doings. So it's more about the doings. But what we need to actually connect on is actually just rekindling that we are human beings. I actually like you. You are my guy. You are my person. And like, do you get, and that mutuality, that fondness, that rekindling all those things. And I think that that's so important.
I mean, I thought you'd say moving from what did you use there? Was it monotony of the day? Or was it monotony you used? Moving from monotony of the day to motionless of the night. just
moving from the monotony of the day to the mushiness of the night. I love it.
It just crossed my mind when you're speaking. But yeah, really, really solid point. I didn't want to stop you talking when you said to chip in those questions where there's silence. Every other thing is out. Phones are away, and we're just together, and we have those check-ins, right? Yes, the idea is that those things really evoke memory. That actually does keep, people in each other's world. And you see what happens most times when this monotony, or the management, as you call it, is going on, is that each spouse might at one level or the other be craving connection. And you might have those moments where a bid is being passed now and again for connection. And because maybe one is already very enveloped, in the management of things, in the fact that we must, especially people that are naturally inflexible. And some people by nature have been wired to be inflexible. They thrive in routines. And so their life becomes, in their mind, dysfunctional if they can't follow particular routines and patterns. So the day has to go a specific way. I'm out by 5, I'm back by 8, I'm in bed by 10. Nothing disrupt my sleep time because I must be up by 4. Like, and everything has to dance around that. You know, date nights happen on Friday, you know, and so it's the routine that guides their life such that there are no spontaneous moments where we can be children again or just care for nothing, right? And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with routines. I'm just saying that in humanity is emotions. And from time to time, day to day, things happen that might shift the way that you consider the day was going to go, and you need the one person that is most, you know, closest to you to be a part of that day to make it all good again. Not because you can't do that yourself, but because now that I've chosen to do life with you, I have in
truth,
whether I like it or not, I have also chosen to lean on you in moments when something that I can take responsibility for is up. I refuse to take responsibility alone, but I want to lean on the person that I'm with. I want to share it with you. I want that emotion to be shared as against kept to myself or managed by myself. Now and that can happen whether with men or women, right? But if there is no connection already established, it's harder for somebody to come to that place. I'm thinking that the absence of friendship or even emotional connection would disallow the possibility of vulnerability at a very high level.
Absolutely.
So,
I completely agree with
and so imagine without vulnerability, we can't even claim that we have true relationship, that we have true thriving marriage, because it's about how much of you I know and how much of you can be around me without shame. Without the idea that you are hiding or masking something because you are not sure how it will be received. But friendship opens the door for that. Connection opens the door for that. And so if we're not even doing the work to make sure that that is in place for our relationship, then we are actually stealing away from how good our relationship can be, from how much we can thrive, from how at ease we can be in our nervous system, from how at ease, how safe we can feel. Because it's all those things.
Yeah, I know there's so much that you've unpacked there, and I think I was just going to speak to a few of those points as well. I feel like, yes, I agree with you that our routines should serve us and not the other way around. And that, like, whilst routines are beautiful and brilliant, we should maintain, we should give room for a bit of flexibility in such a way that the routines serve our relationship, not the other way around. I mean, it's just like Jesus saying, was the Sabbath made for man or man made for the Sabbath? Like, go figure. Like, the routine should serve you and not the other way around. And the other thing that I was going to say is that even in those routines, we can make routines that encourage our friendship. We can make routines that actually create room for us to connect, create room for connection. So if you're somebody that thrives in routines and you believe that they help you, because they do help a lot, and I think like maybe just making sure that in all of those allocations you allocate time for connection, you allocate time to nurture and build the friendship that you share with your spouse, right? And I feel like that is so important. And there was another thing that you said that I think we just need to reiterate, is that vulnerability is the soil upon which friendship thrives. The more I feel like I am allowed to be the quote unquote the messiest and the whatever side of me myself, like I'm able to bring all of that to the table without any masks or without anything, the more I feel like our friendship will grow. Like you will find that the people that you've been friends with the longest are the people that you feel like you can be yourself around. Like when I don't know about men, but like women, one of the things that you would ask when you see like, oh, girls have been friends for this long, you hear things like, you hear sentiments like, I can be myself around them. I don't need to hide. They know me. They know all of me, and I can bring all of me to the table. And I feel like the only way that is possible is that, one, that safety has been nurtured, and two, vulnerability has been encouraged. And I feel like what you were saying also brings us to a key pillar in this conversation. So we've said that one of the things that stands in the way is the admin and the business of of marriage, of the business of doing life together. But then I feel like, okay, so how do we then build friendship in our marriage? How do we then nurture and create an environment where friendship thrives? And for me, I think one of those things is something I learned a while back. You know, when we read that Gottman's book, and he describes a concept called the love map. And the love map for me is such a great concept. Like, thinking about it through every time I remember that, because I feel like many of us don't realize that we married a moving target. The person you married
is not
the same person
today like they were years ago,
and I feel like there's a way that familiarity can creep in and actually dull the acts of our friendship, because you feel like, I know all that there is to know about Joysola, so you're not regularly updating.
And that's an assumption.
Yeah, that's an assumption, and a dangerous one at that, because you're not regularly updating yourself about me. Soon enough, you don't really know me. You think you know me, but we've really drifted. Like, the choices, like my fears, like different things have changed and have evolved over a 10-11 year period. And you're still hanging on to the version of me that you met, and you feel like, oh, that's who I'm going to be forever. I feel like just regularly updating that love map, regularly updating yourself. Regularly updating yourself when it comes to the interior world of your spouse. Like, that is certainly something that would create, and I feel like for me, the gateway to that is through questions. Is through questions. If anybody knows me, I love a good conversation card. I love a good conversation card.
And that's why we make this. Because, I mean, indeed, many people don't know how to have conversations or how to even start conversations. Trust me, I had to, at an older age than I was appropriate, learn conversation. It wasn't something that came, freely or easily to me, that you say, okay, I'm in a conversation with somebody and I can sustain that conversation for a long time. For me, it's easier to have conversations when the other person is interested in you and wants to know about you. So that way, they are talking a lot. But if it was left to me to make that happen, it was unlikely that it was going to last 5 minutes. Do you see? So I had to learn what it meant to be interested in somebody enough to ask questions that were relevant and able to evoke interest in them to respond to me.
And there's something you just said. Sorry to just butt in that way, because I didn't want to miss that moment. There's something you just said as well. Interest. That curiosity. That's the only way you would stay updated. That's the only. And there's a way you feel. There's a way you feel when you feel like there's a way you feel when someone is actually genuinely interested in you, genuinely curious about you. There's just a way it binds your hearts together.
There's that statement that says people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. That thing is such a foundational way, and it works in marriage too. Because you might think, okay, because this person loves me, then they're going to be all about me. No, you're actually going to have to be all about them to keep that sustained. Because after a while, the person would actually come to the place where they wonder, what about me? If they're all about you and you're not all about them. So at the end of the day, there's a part in every human being that craves the attention of another on them. And if somebody out of everyone in the world has chosen you to be that person, then it means you've just taken on yourself the highest responsibility ever to make this person know that they are loved, that they are seen, and they are wanted. That's what love is really about. And that cannot happen without friendship. Because if they're not really your friend, you can't be interested in making them know that they are loved, that they are seen, or they are wanted.
And I think that sometimes we also feel like, the moments that will spark our friendship is we limit it to the grand adventures. I mean, there's room for those grand adventures. There's room for the thrill, because the dopamine surge and all of those things, they're good. They're nice to have. Like, they're a good add-on. But I feel like the constant interest is in the day-to-day. It's in the stopping to consider. I mean, when we do marriage counseling, we teach the checking at the end of the day to say, at the end of every 24-hour period, as much as is possible, actually stop to check in with each other. How was your day today? What did you enjoy today? Like, what did you like about your day today? And I know that those moments actually bind our hearts together. Just being in bed at night before we go to bed and actually just going through the day. In those moments, some fears, challenges might even creep up, and then we then pray about it before we fall asleep. But it just feels like I have a friend in this person. I'm actually connected to this person. And I feel like sometimes we we lose out on so much because we're planning. I know that we went through this season where you had all these grand things that you wanted to plan in your head, and you were going at them, you were planning them for us. But then I'm like, no, I don't. It's not just those grand things. Like, it's in the day to day. And I'm saying that do not just hyper focus on the grand gestures. That you miss out on the opportunities for connection that already exist.
Life indeed.
Do you get that already exists in today? Like, if I were to play back my mind and say what like was the fondest memories that I have of us like before now, I will go back to Luth. My mind will automatically go back to Luth. Like those days where you will come and when we're dating, when you come and see me and you park, and then we will walk around Luth talking about absolutely everything and anything. And then it will be time for you to go. You walk me to my door, and then I'll walk you back, and then we will do that dance over and over again. Like,
I go back and I remember your and this happened on the phone as well. Your fondest line was, "Don't go, I don't want you to go."
Thank you. But I feel like for me there was no money involved in that. It was just quality time spent together. And I will not necessarily say that quality time is the top out of my love languages, but there's just something about our hearts, about the time spent together. And I feel like that's the thing. Like, we should carve out time in our lives to actually prioritize one another and to prioritize our friendship if we really think it is important.
I mean, if I can chip in on the quality time thing, I feel like if you really love something, you'd actually want more of the thing. I mean, I saw this scripture in the Bible that says, he who loves money never has enough. And when I saw that scripture, I put it to mind that he who actually loves God never ever gets enough of it.
The more I know you,
exactly.
The more I want
so it's
to know
actually
you.
very true that the more I love something, the more I want the thing. So if I really love the person I say I'm doing life with, I would never get enough. So when someone says about quality time, that's not my thing, meaning I can actually get overwhelmed by the fact that you're in my space, like you're too much in my space, I would say check what is feeding that. Not that you don't care about the other person, but the idea that something must have been wrong or disrupted in a way that something you really care about, you want the thing out of your face, and you want it only in your face at the times when you feel comfortable to accept it. Because when you truly love something, you actually never get enough of it.
And I think that I was just going to draw a bit of a balance there, because I feel like it's also important to know that it's not like there's a good balance between togetherness and separateness.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, there's a good balance. And on this matter of friendship, it's also important to know that your spouse is not going to satisfy all of your friendship needs.
Absolutely.
Like, your girlfriends are going to be important. Your male friends are going to be important. And it will be important for you to nurture other friendships as well. Because this friendship will not be the thing that satisfies all of your longings.
So it's not about love languages now. What I was trying to establish was that it's actually not the love language that determines that you love to spend time. It's actually the friendship that is in there and the love that is in there. That's what determines you want to spend time. Not because it's your love language.
Because I think about us as well. I think about us and I'm like, I talk to you on the phone. I'm coming home to you. But I'm talking to you most times on the phone on the way home. And I'm still coming home to you and I'm still going to have a lot to say to you. And I'm still going to have a lot to say.
I won't trade those moments for anything. I'm trying to move my schedule in such a way that if I'm not on a session, I can accommodate those calls. And we've had many of those, in recent time when you're working 1 hour away and we chat for 1 hour before you're back home. Now it's just 15 minutes, but I mean, it's still about the same interest. Like, I really want that.
So speaking about curiosity, I feel like this is a bit weird, but that's why we design conversation cards. And I think it's beautiful to see what it can unearth in practice, right? So I have 2 cards here. Right. And I'm just going to put a disclaimer out there because there's a tendency to think, you designed the cards, you know all the questions. But that doesn't necessarily mean, and that's the thing, I don't remember all the questions. I don't remember all the questions. And every time we play this, even when we do it with friends, it ends up being so beautiful. I remember
like we didn't design
so I remember I was doing this recently with some friends when we went to theirs for a sleepover, and we were there for 3 hours and we were on just 4 questions. So I know for some people it becomes a bit uncomfortable, especially men, I think. I know that you don't like this thing, but I feel like
I think that's a stereotype.
It's not a stereotype, baby, but like from even our own friends, like my rough survey of our friends, like it's been some of the men that have had issues with conversation cards more than it's been their wives wanting to have.
Like I agree.
Yeah.
Like I understand what you're saying, but yeah.
Anyway, so I've got 2 cards.
Okay.
Pick one.
Does vulnerability with me come easy, and why do you think so? I mean, I feel like this did not start immediately, because at the beginning, I don't think that vulnerability was one of the things that I would have prided myself in, because I think that I was called security more time than anything else. But with you, what I found is there's been the opportunity to land easy. There's been the opportunity to land easy. There's been safety. There's trust. I know that with you, I can be me. And so, yeah, it's easier to be vulnerable, and easy to be vulnerable indeed. I don't know that there's anything that you wouldn't know in the end. Sometimes, even when I've not said, I'm craving to say. You would tell on my face that there's something I need to say that I've not said, because I feel like I don't. I mean, I just know that safety has been established, right? So does it come easy at the moment? Yes. And why? Because you've made that safe space of yours, right? This is your home. All right, so your turn.
Does vulnerability, let me read the question again. Does vulnerability with me come easy, and why do you think so? I'll say yes, certainly. Vulnerability with you comes really easy for me. And I think it was even one of the factors that made me decide that it was you very early on in our relationship. I remember us having a conversation, and the way you handle my tender places is really beautiful. As in, like, I feel like you particularly give me that safety. And one thing I really appreciate about you as well is that the things I say to you in confidence never come up. You never refer to it later, or maybe like you're, I don't know how to explain this. Maybe you're dealing with the shortfall of of something that maybe I have shared with you as maybe a struggle or a challenge or whatever, and then we're dealing with the aftermath of that. It would have been very easy to sort of piggyback and refer to the thing like, oh, that this thing that we're dealing with now is a product of this thing, but you never do that. It just makes me know that
I was going to do something funny, like.
You never do that, and it just makes me feel safe. I know that I'm safe here, and thank you for creating that environment.
You are safe, as I am safe. Yeah. I don't know. Send me to hold my mic to my hand, so I can't do much. I feel like I'm missing out on my gesticulations.
Oh, sorry about that.
I can't do much of that, but yeah.
Yeah. So far we've covered major things. We've talked. I like summaries. I'm sure that if you watch our videos long enough by now, you know that I thrive in summaries. The first thing we talked about was how that the administrative burden of actually building a life together is one great thing that we need to be cautious about, because it can get in the way of actually keeping that emotional connection and that friendship going. And then we started to then explore what we consider to be the pillars of building friendship and emotional connection in a marriage. And one of the pillars that we've talked about is the love maps, and regularly updating your love maps, realizing that the person that you married is a moving target, in the sense that they're going to change. So will their interests, so will their desires, so will many things about them. So not assuming, not resting on the assumption that I know them, I married them, and as such, I'm going to continue to move with that version of them that I've always known, as opposed to being curious enough. And we said that one of the ways to sort of expand your understanding or your familiarity with the interior world of the person that you're married to is with curiosity. And one of the tools that can enhance curiosity is conversations. And I think for conversations, it's important to know that it's not just surface level conversations, not how are you. It's the sort of level 2, level 3 kind of questioning, in terms of like what does am I the one we just asked, in terms of vulnerability and why, right? It shows interest in the person. And I was just going to add that it's also important that when you're engaging in this kind of activities, your body language is important. Show that you are actually interested. Don't act like you're being forced, or somebody is forcing you to engage in this kind of things. Be present. you know that there was a concept about presence that I when we're reading Emotionally Healthy Leadership together, you know, the guy described something in the book called incarnational listening. I mean, when I first heard the term incarnation, I was like, hey, but then just stopping to actually understand what it means, like actually you are journeying into the other person's interior world. It's like, oh, come, this is what it means to be Dorisala Olaniyo as at this time T. I want to take you on a trip. Imagine it like the person is your tour guide and they're taking you on a tour of what it actually means to look at life through their lens and be that present, almost as though you can feel what they feel, you can hear what they mean, the
just
emotions.
like empathy.
Yeah, just like empathy, right? And I think that that's so important. And I feel like because we can very easily come across as a very serious couple, like in terms of like the content that we put out and all of the things that we do. I think that's very important for us to now talk about this point. And for me, that point is play.
Right.
Like play
We
together.
are a serious couple. Courtesy of me.
Thank God that you just owned your
so before we say anything that you learn from or want to pick, there's the serious part. I bring the serious part. I bring that serious part.
What do you mean? I'm serious too.
Oh yeah, you're serious with medicine.
I won't take that. I'm serious with everything.
Serious about your love
I'm serious.
God.
I'm serious about my love for God. I'm serious about marriage. I'm serious about parenting.
Right.
But when I want to play, I want to play.
I hear you.
Because I'm a child at heart. And I feel like for me, it's also just realizing that, you know, I don't want to use all these psychological buzzwords that people use, inner child. But allowing that inner child have room for expression, have room, because I feel like a lot of people, like life can be heavy, but home doesn't have to feel heavy.
Yeah.
Like life in itself can be heavy, but home doesn't have to feel heavy. Like be able to play, have inside jokes, laugh at one another, like just make it easy to be friends, like just make it easy to banter, make it easy to laugh, make it easy to play, and schedule time to play. Like everything, like I feel like life is already too serious. Sometimes we just need to we just need to rest and play. Like play.
I think some of us are inner child is already serious, so there's nothing to correct.
That's a trauma response.
There's nothing to correct.
That's a trauma response. I disagree.
There's no you can't easily have that play without friendship, really. And I think it's where the risk will be where people now wonder, so what do we do now if, you know, we find out we just don't know to play, right? It might be someone's personality, what they've been disposed to over time. I mean, our dynamic was exactly that, right? And it's taking what, 9 years to get to the point where I can easily. I remember the other day we're laughing, and I'm like, I don't remember laughing this hard, and that's because somehow I will still want to be as put together as possible,
trauma
right?
Response.
So it's not trauma because I had a lot of good and love and life in my life, really. So I get, of course, and I coach for a living, so I get what it means when you might have a part of you that wants to show up a kind of way, which might then create a performative outlook, right, in itself. And of course, to a good degree, you should have control over it.
Yeah.
In which case, I realized, of course, I can have control over it. I can bring play where play is necessary and perform where performance is necessary and be where you need to just be, right? And to be in charge of all of that. And so for me, I know that speaking to maybe people that might have found it tough to navigate that play terrain, because just like you say, life is doing its thing, and they just feel like I need to also show up and respond in some kind of way that shows that I'm also on top of my own beat of things. Play actually does help you be the best of yourself. Because the idea is the fact that my entire system can run the routine that allows it to rest and rejuvenate and refire as necessary, keeps me on the go, keeps me fulfilling what I need to fulfill, keeps me as productive as possible, keeps burnout out of the window.
Yeah.
Like, so I imagine people that are not unable to play for real. What will happen is you have a very tense environment, which would mean that you can both be on the edge very easily.
Yeah.
Without friendship and the opportunity to play together as friends, even good intentions can be misread.
Yay.
Right? So things that you wouldn't have meant in a hard way, because the other person is already on the edge, they misread it and they can react to it. And before you know what's happening, you're having perpetual conflicts over non-issues. And you don't realize that the reason is because internally we haven't particularly um, aligned on friendship such that we can trust each other's hearts. We are free with one another. We're able to play and let loose and not hold things so seriously when we are with ourselves. You know, as you're speaking one time, and I know I'd used this scripture to reference that greater love at this than there's no greater love than this, than for a man to lay down his life for his friend. And I remembered when I was saying that then, but I didn't mention it. I'd heard somebody, and this was a pastor preaching about marriage and referencing that you don't necessarily need to be friends. And that's because I know, of course, a lot of times you just hear people it's just the same way communication has almost gotten a bad rep when you say, what are the things to look out for in marriage? I say communication. And then people can literally jab communication on the throat and say, no, you're not the only one. You know, there are other things. It's the same way friendship too seems to have gotten a rep. And you find people that have said things like, you don't need to marry your friend. You can actually become friends, or you can actually, this person specifically that I was referencing had said or had referenced the hierarchy in spiritual marriages, meaning man as the head and woman, to submit and all of that stuff, and mentioned it as though the man's position as Lord does not particularly require friendship for its formation or its maintenance, right? So it's like the relationship or the marriage there is a system that must be followed based on the order that's been created. Like, so the emotional connection required for the balance and the synergy and the furtherance of things as you move on from I do is not necessary, because there's an order that keeps you in place. Now, I hear the person and I understand that, but two things can be true at once. The idea that we understand the hierarchy and the dynamics of
the marriage
institution as God ordained. We understand everything that needs to follow, and we all play our part, or we both play our part. But we also understand the dynamics of humanity that requires a level of connection in the emotional level or on the emotional level for us to sustain or have longevity in what we say we're doing together.
Yeah.
Now,
do you know something, baby? Sorry to cut you like that. Sorry to be so abrupt. But do you know that as you were speaking, I was thinking about the scripture. And obviously, we're not going to go into the exegesis of this right now because it just crossed my mind as a flash. But there's a reason why God will repeatedly call people that he connected with. He will call them friends.
That's where I was going.
And
that's exactly what I was
and there's a scripture that says, "No longer do I call you slaves, but now do I call you friends."
Where I was going, because I was saying, if he used that reference then, and he has also said, "I no longer call you slaves, I now call you friends." You can never take away the importance of friendship in a relationship. And the fact that God calls us friends does not take away my reverence for God. So I can be friends with my wife, and based on our understanding of spiritual matters, it does not take away our understanding of the submission requirement in marriage. Neither should it take away my understanding of the love and leadership requirement, and it shouldn't take away our understanding of the love requirement on our own end. So the friendship doesn't shift the dynamics or the structure of the relationship. The friendship keeps the emotions of the two people, right? And it's just understanding that we just, the way you say that man is also a tripartite being, we ensure that each part of us is able to function at the highest level of its capability. Not like I stifle my emotions because of my spirituality. or not like I force my emotions to conform to my spirituality. There's that part of me that wants to be loved, right? And it's not fully fulfilled just by my spiritual commitment. And when God will say it is not good for man to be alone, He didn't say that so that the woman that is being created for him, the only responsibility is to submit to him. No, that's not why He said that. It's not good for you to be alone has many meanings.
Yeah.
And a good part of that is boredom as well.
Yeah.
And boredom is cured by friendship and love and the presence of someone that you enjoy.
Yeah.
So if I say I don't need to enjoy your company, that we don't have to be friends, we just have to do the business of marriage, then we're actually deceiving ourselves.
And I think that those are the little things those are the little narratives that creeping that then make marriage have like a bit of a bad rep. I'm not saying that that's the entirety of the picture, but I'm saying that these are the little things that contribute to that. And you hear things like, it's something that I've even prayed for people to say, you will enjoy your marriage and not endure it. Because we then make marriage look like one difficult endurance sport. Whereas actually there's supposed to be so much joy in it. There's supposed to be so much play in it. There's supposed to be so much friendship in it. There's supposed to be there's supposed to be so much delight in it, because you get like, so we disabuse the delight and make it such a dutiful endurance thing, whereas there's supposed to be so much joy, harmony, friendship in it, right? And I think that's so important. And as you were speaking as well, the thing that was coming to my mind is that yes, play actually makes the environment less adversarial. It makes the environment less adversarial and less tense, right? Because there's laughter, there's joy, there's ease. Do you understand? So I feel like it's just so important. But I'll allow me to put you on the spot.
Right.
When we were debriefing for this, you probably didn't see this coming.
I mean, I'm taking like
you probably didn't see this coming. But I feel like I've seen you grow in friendship. And the image that comes to mind is something that happened this morning, actually.
Okay.
In the past, if I was listening to something that was like my jam or like something that I liked, and I came to you and I was dancing around you, you would be stiff, maybe even make a face or something. But I feel like today, this, and it's been happening more, not like it's suddenly like a eureka moment I had today, but I feel like this morning I actually noticed it, that it's easier for me to invite you into those moments when I know that maybe the music will not be typically your jam or the kind of thing that you'll be into. But you actually stayed in the moments with me and I saw you moving your body. How did you make that transition for somebody who's watching this, who maybe their natural disposition is to be a bit stiff and rigid? How did you make that transition into being someone who's a bit more accommodating of play?
So you see, there's that thing I said earlier.
Sorry, I know I put you on the spot.
It's okay, I'll do well. There's that thing I said earlier about interest. I feel like whether we like it or not, a lot of things go on in the mind of every individual as they move around, right? And if you live with someone, you will know what they like, you know what they dislike. Over time, except you're insensitive, you'll be able to shape your decisions around their preferences. Now, I think it takes a level of presence to know that because I know this person likes this and it doesn't particularly derail me from the standards I've upheld. So it means that I might or should be able to shift ground, especially if it's something that makes them happy. I know you like to dance to music, right? I may not be bothered, really.
You're saying that I'm not like it's not like I'm a dancer or something.
But you like to dance to music. And even back in the day when I'll be around music, the best I did most times was bop my head and shake my upper body. I hardly would get on the dance floor and start to move my legs and all of that. I hardly did. So I imagine that I had spent a good part of my life not being able to stay away from having to do that. And of course, too, most people that were around me will respect themselves and allow me be, right? Then I get married.
Get married to this queen.
And of course, even for our wedding, I had to hire a dance trainer. So that, and that's because dance was important to you. And I know that was an important part of the wedding. And so I had to hire a dance trainer to know that, you know what? the dance we're going to have it at the level that you want it. Being married, I've not had to do that because it's not like we're dancing every day, right?
It would be nice to,
but well, that's you and your children. But I heard you playing music this morning, and I knew you were dancing, and I'd heard the different queen and all of that. It's like I knew the music was getting to you. I knew you were really, and then I mean, I was in the room writing, and I heard you on the corridor saying, "Where's my husband?" And I figured, okay, yeah, in for it now. You're going to have to come and dance this one. So maybe a good part is also mentally in that moment. I figured she's going to come and get to the dance, and you have two options: spoil the moment that she's been having so beautifully for almost 10 minutes now, or join in and deal with whatever you feel. The awkwardness, the wanting a different moment, all of that. And I think I approached it knowing that I could choose the other part and fulfill the joy that you're having in that moment, as against hold my own position and say, no, I'm doing something serious right now. I'm trying to write something and I'm thinking with my brain. Because I think for me, most times, because I'm mostly always thinking, right? So if you catch me in a moment, I'm wondering, I'm actually busy. I may look free, but I'm busy in my head. But yeah, and over time, it's probably, I'll put it down to just the interest in seeing that the other person is happy as they would love to, especially because what they are doing isn't taking anything away from you. But if you're committing to it, it's actually adding a lot to them. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. But there was reward for you too. But I'll see you off camera.
Not on camera.
I'll see you off camera. But yeah, and
I didn't come wanting the reward.
I know
that was the blessing of God.
Hallelujah. But yeah, I feel like certainly like you hit the nail on the head. And I mean, I feel like those moments you can actually realize that they are bids for connections, and just realizing that I have two opportunities. I can choose to take the bid, or I can choose to turn the bid down. And I think one of the predictors of marital success in the long term is that more people that turn towards instead of turning away end up have a higher chance of keeping connection.
Yeah, and I was going to say something to that. For every bid you turn down, you move a little apart. That one is unknown. So many people might not realize that for every bid you turn down, you move a little apart until you find out that you are present in the same space, close proximity, but lonely, because multiple bids have been turned down, and you have moved so far apart that you are seeking connection outside or somewhere else or in something else because you've lost it here.
Yeah.
And it was just those silent moments when somebody passes a bid, the other ignores it, and the other person doesn't stand up to, defend it, and they just go silently apart.
Yeah. And as we were saying, it just made me realize that it will not be everything that you might be comfortable with. There might be certain things that might be outside of the zone of your comfort. And I feel like that's the point of emotional safety, and also being able to have a conversation like, yes, I see that you're making a bid right now, but this just feels a bit out of my zone of comfort, and just bringing it to the table of conversation. That is another thing that would guard against the fact that can potentially be something that widens a gulf or creates a gulf if there's been none that has been there, but sort of just widening a gulf, you see. So I feel like it's important that we can also lean on communication in terms of, oh, this is a bit uncomfortable for me, and having conversations about it, you see, and not deliberately saying, oh, and I think being considerate towards one another. I won't deliberately put you in an uncomfortable position when I know that these things, yes, you stretch your realm of comfort for me, but I won't deliberately go out of my way to put you in an uncomfortable position.
That's the benefit of being friends, because you can speak about it without, and I guess that's what you were saying, you can speak about it without the fear of maybe the way the other person might take it, or hurting the person right afterward and all of that. And of course, a level of maturity is also required in terms of each partner growing to be able to receive feedback. Right? Receive feedback about how I feel about something you're requesting of me, or where I am at the moment, and what I can do regarding that or can't do, as the case may be. I guess there's also that part where we would need to mature in that. But I feel to a good extent, if I'm if I'm sure about how much of closeness we have in terms of our friendship, it's easier to receive things.
Yeah.
Because I won't think that you're doing something against me if I actually trust that you are for me.
So
Right?
it's even trust also plays into this.
Yeah, because that's pretty much what it does. It's easier to have this conversation and say, babe, I really don't want to dance right now. And you would know that it's not because I don't like you, I don't love you, I'm not friends with you. You will understand that maybe in this moment, yeah, that's okay. And then you go ahead and do your thing, and at another time take it up. But my point is, if there hasn't been an establishment internally that this is actually my friend, in those moments, it seems like a letdown.
Yeah.
Because you can be cool friends with someone and know that when we are outside, I know my friend, which is my husband or my wife, they're not going to dance to save their life. So I even know the things not to do.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not putting them on the spot outside, right? Because I know that they're not going to do that. I know they can make the awkwardness happen inside, but outside I won't put them in that kind of situation because I know this is my friend. I know this person to that detail, right? And that's what it does. But if, for example, there's been no establishment of that understanding, that alignment, that safety, you find that you might be requesting for things that are impossible, quote and unquote, because you don't know that person enough, and because you have not the love map part now, you have not established enough understanding of them to even know what is possible or impossible, what is necessary or unnecessary, what is appropriate or inappropriate, and you are demanding, requesting, or hoping for things that you will never get, and so you're disappointing yourself perpetually. Because you haven't established the friendship that is necessary.
Yeah, and I think that's the key thing in terms of dealing with the person with understanding as well.
Yeah.
But then obviously, like we said earlier, being willing to stretch beyond your comfort zone because of interest and because you know that possibly will make the other person happy. I mean, still speaking on this point of expanding your love maps, I feel like trying out new situations together. Like I didn't know that you ever sang Coldplay, for example, until we went to
that one.
until we went to that Lumos event.
That was beautiful.
Yeah, like until we went to that event, I didn't know that was something. And seeing you sing Yellow, like me, I didn't even know the song. Like seeing you in that light, like it felt like wow. I was taking it. I was meeting
that was my inner child.
Yes, I was meeting your inner child. Like I was meeting younger you. And so it's like there will be situations and environments that both of you would experience together that would even unlock a new level of fondness. That
like
would
when we're swimming together.
Yeah. That would even unlock
That's always a beautiful part. Yeah.
That would even unlock a new level of me. You mean like when I'm teaching you how to swim?
That's always a beautiful one. When you're teaching me how to swim, I swim well now.
But
You
yeah,
won't let this thing rest. You finished teaching me how to swim. I swim well now.
all right. But yeah, so I feel like those experiencing new things together is another thing that can just continue to update your interests. I mean, we're not going to overflog the date night matter because I feel like if you go to any marriage. If you go to any marriage course,
is already like a staple for all relationships. Like everybody has deadlines now, even people that are not married. So really now, yeah, if you're not,
but people are not doing it.
That's what I was going to say. Like if you're not having it, then nobody's doing that to you. You're doing that to yourself.
And I think that also just being like that thing we were talking about, allowing your routine serve you. Like I feel like on Instagram alone, I can count like 10 pages that are dedicated to date night ideas. Like so if it is something that you want to be able to do, you will kill the excuses. If it's about and there's pages that are dedicated to at home dates. Like the list is endless. If it is at home dates ideas that you're looking for, you will get 1,001 ideas of at home dates to do. I feel like it's a matter of priority. If it is priority, you'll find a way. If it is not priority, you'll make an excuse. So I think certainly just realizing that okay, is this thing a priority for us and shaping our life around our priorities. So if friendship and play is a priority for us, then we need to shape our life around that priority such that it reflects in our routines. If we're going to audit our routines, we'll see that we intentionally accommodated play, we intentionally accommodated friendship because it matters to us and it counts. Counts as well. I think from my end, I feel like we've done a good job at sort of laying a good foundation for people to run with because I feel like it's important to know that friendship is solid architecture for your marriage.
It is.
You know, when I tease people who are single and saying we're just friends, and I'm like, who do you want to marry? Your enemy? Like, do you see?
Yeah.
Like realizing that friendship actually, there's a way you can love somebody, but you like the person, like actually liking the person that you're with, actually liking your spouse, actually liking and enjoying them as a human being. I think that that's so important as well. And I've done the summary. I'm not going to go over it again.
There's something I was going to chip in there. That just, the emotional connection in itself. Remember when you were talking about, it's more like you're continuing to stay interested in the person, and even as they advance, not assuming that you know them, and just to highlight that the connection actually stays because it is maintained, right? Because you actually commit to maintaining the connection. So it's not like I assume we're connected and we're connected for life.
You can't
Of course,
assume
we're
connection.
in a covenant, and we're in a covenant for life, except it is broken by something. But in connection, it's not for life. It's actually maintained. So it stays for life to the degree that it is maintained. And so it's the things that keep it maintained that should be priority. So we prioritize all those things. I mean, of course, I'm imagining, speaking of prioritizing those things, communication will come top of the list, because with that you're establishing your love maps. So we can as well.
You want to do one more question?
Yeah.
Woo! Okay, let me pick another one. There's some spicy questions in here. Disclaimer: if you pick, me too, I know. Disclaimer: if you pick spicy,
I won't do it.
Okay, all these ones are.
I can imagine somebody.
These ones are actually
good. I
can
imagine somebody watching this now and praying. Let it be spicy.
God didn't answer your prayer. Pick one.
I should be the one doing it to you now.
I'm closer to the cards. Which one did you pick?
I picked what makes you feel most loved and appreciated. I remember that day when I went out for that conference and got back, and you had rallied yourself with the kids, and
I'm so cute.
and just made sure that the entire house was tidy. And I came back to a fully tidied home, food waiting, which are not things that I would typically even say, oh, we must have as a.
I think you need to put explanations to this,
so maybe
because that's your
the context.
thing.
The context, is the fact that I'll typically, do the tidying, especially the ground floor. Well, there's the part of me wanting to do it in a specific way, which I'm really growing out of. But yes, and so that day I'd known that I was going to come back from the conference and get it done, and then I get back and it's all done. I feel like acts of service will get me anytime.
You're telling the world.
Oh yeah, they can come and do something for me. Acts of service will get me anytime. So that's like a really beautiful one. And to the question, what makes you feel most loved and appreciated? When somebody actually does something thoughtful or meaningful for me, actually, I really, 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 really appreciate it, because it just shows that I'm loved and appreciated. Like, that's how I see it.
Really. Yeah. I think for me, like you, it's one, like thoughtful acts. Like when people do things that are thoughtful, it makes me feel seen and appreciated. And I also feel like words certainly like calling out the good.
Yeah.
Calling out the good that I do, not just keeping it in your mind. Like when I do something for you and you actually, I mean, I tread cautiously, because I feel like words of affirmation can easily get a bad reputation, because it's almost like, you are living for validation. But I just feel, for me,
I'm giving you the balance for this thing. Everything has their shadows.
And I owe nobody any explanations. For me, what makes me feel loved and appreciated is when you see the things that I do and you communicate that it means something to you, communicate that it matters to you. And when I'm appreciated as a human and I'm supported in the things that matter to me, I feel like that makes me feel loved. Yeah. And that makes me feel appreciated.
Right. I mean, I'm glad that there are times when I'm able to do that.
You try.
I try, because there are times when I think that I'll more likely keep what I really appreciate to myself. And I make a lot of internal resolutions about people's behavior, character, and all that, disposition, and all whatnot. And I use all of that as like an auditing tool for how much access they have to me, And so you can imagine that being married to someone and knowing that no matter what you're auditing, you still have to design your boundaries in such a way that access is permitted, right? But to then have someone that you can, boundary or no boundary, be assured of what they will do,
I
who
feel
they will be,
vulnerable right now.
and all of that, right? So for me, it's actually beautiful to be able to have those moments where I tell you again, this was really good. I really appreciated that. You done really well, and all of that.
And I think for me, there's something that you were saying that just, not to belabor the points, it just made me want to say something. You are the kind of person who you will do things for people, and you don't care for like a thank you, and that's the person that you are. But you know that it means a lot to me, and it's in stretching yourself beyond. So you're not using the yardstick that you used to judge yourself to deal with me.
Yeah.
You are dealing with me with an understanding of my own person, because if it was on the basis of the yardstick that you used to deal with yourself, you don't care for thank you don't care for all those things. They don't, like you said, the I love you I told you when I first said I love you is still sufficient, and it's okay for you till now. But then I feel like I love that you deal with me as me.
Right.
Like, you deal with Doinsola with the knowledge of Doinsola. You do not deal with Doinsola expecting her to be like Ife.
Yeah. Yeah. We owe ourselves that much. And I'd say that if anything, it's what we would even expect people that we work with to also do with and for themselves. So really, yeah. Well, you can't get away from this. You've pulled out the cards.
Don't pull out something spicy, please.
Well, I hope not. It just puts you on the what are the odds? And I'm just going to pull out just one card. So what are the?
I'm not going to. I'm not going to answer it if I'm not comfortable.
Wow! How did I pull this out?
No, baby, no. I'm not answering this. I'm not answering.
All right, she's not answering that. So I'm going to pull out another one.
Sorry, guys.
Somebody will say that's cheating. Wow, what's going on?
I beg. I'm not answering.
That's just the brother of the one you didn't answer. So let me. Okay, do I need to call you straight to help you?
Yes, you need to call on nothing.
I think you'll like this one.
Okay.
And I think our viewers will like it too.
Yeah, tell me.
Tell me the story of how we met, your version.
So the story of how we met. Where do I begin? How long do I have? My version. I was serving in church. You had invited someone to church, and I happened to like meet up with the person after service to try and get the person into a serving unit and like some discipleship pathway for the person in church. And then you come up to us, and one of our friends, or my friend at the time, who happened to know you, was trying to hook me up with somebody, and somebody was you, right? And then you then come up to us, and she starts displaying like she was very excited and like, oh, this is happening naturally. But that wasn't it. I don't think you asked for my number at that point in time.
No.
You said if they said my version, they didn't ask for you.
So as I said, I didn't.
So and then you then asked, you then said, oh, if I need your number, I'm very proud guy. Thank God for the work that the Holy Spirit has done on you this past 10, 11 years. You then said, it was even like 13 years, because this was like 2 years before we got married. You then said, well, if I need your number, I'll get it. Who says that? But anyways,
someone that knows you get it.
Providence. To cut the long story short, Providence worked and aligned everything, and then we started talking, and I think that was it. We just started talking, and we never stopped talking. And I think the day that I knew for sure that it was you was the day that in church, God forbid that I cry on YouTube. My video will not go around. God forbid. Was the day that in church, after a midweek service, and you were going to take me back to Luth. and you were waiting for me and my friends to finish, and then we finished, and I come out towards you and you held my hands like, yes, this is my girl, this is my woman. It was so beautiful because prior to that, I'd been with somebody who was saying that we should keep the relationship on the wraps before they serve me breakfast. But yeah, like you didn't mince words, or you never hid the fact that you were certain about us and you were sure about us.
God knew what you needed.
Yeah, God really knew what he was
God knew what you
doing,
needed.
and
Yeah.
you approved. Yeah, I agree.
I think the beautiful part of that story anytime is the bit of how we met, even if the meeting itself wasn't what then created the friendship. Um, and I feel like that was just an orchestrated connection.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? Yeah. Yeah.
Thank God. I'm glad. I'm glad I met you. I'm glad I'm doing life with you. And I'm glad that you're my G.
Same here. We should wrap it up now.
Yeah. So we hope this has been helpful. We hope you've had useful pointers and action points on how to build an enduring friendship in your relationship. And if at the moment you've not considered it a necessity, I hope we've been able to convince you that friendship is the architecture upon which a solid relationship house is built. And we just pray for grace and strength to actually nurture your own emotional connection and to create an environment of emotional safety in your home and in your marriage. As always, we're rooting for you. We know that marriages work, and marriages that work are worked at. See you next time.